morning, almost about to be good afternoon. So last time we, in previous of our two sessions, what we covered, we discussed about computer networks, what are data networks. We tried to understand what are some types of communication. We studied unicast, we studied broadcast. We tried to see what is point-to-point communication, what is point-to-multi-point communication, and some of the basic stuff around those articles. Apart from that, we also studied OSI reference model, open system interconnection. So what were the 7 layers? They were like 7 layers. The first one was physical layer. What we do in physical layer? Basically hardware, non-intelligent equipment or non-intelligent devices. Some of the basics or things that we discussed in that layer was like cables, connectors, hub, the devices or the equipment who does not have any OS, operating system, or software. So they are non-intelligent devices. Okay? If this device is not powered on, I could say it's a physical layer device because there's literally nothing happening, it's just like physical layer. Alright. What was the second layer? Data link layer. Can anyone give me just one line what is data link layer? Exactly. This is the line that this is the layer where we need it. Where we do have which device? Switch, not router. Router is a layer 3 device. So in layer 2 we do have switch. It is used for error correction primarily. Okay? And there are so many other things which are like beyond our scope of discussion. So I'm just quickly revising all of the articles that we have studied in last 2 sessions before we jump into this slide. Okay, what was the third layer? Network layer. What is the purpose of that layer? Sorting and distribution, or you could say like best path selection. One information that we studied last time, that there is an address which is on layer 3, that is IP address. We discussed about IP address in detail in last session. Okay. Why IP addresses are used? IP addresses are the naming conventions that we use in our IPv4 infrastructure. Okay. Rest of the layers, you may already know about them, or if you don't, that is not the scope of my discussion today, so that's why I'm skipping that thing. But any questions so far? We also studied or tried to understand 3 devices. One was switch, other was router, and then firewall. Could anyone give me one-line answers that what is a switch, why the switches were designed, why we use switches? Just one line. Yes.
Connecting the devices.
Okay, good. Via LAN, locally. LAN, when I say LAN, I mean to say Ethernet. Mostly. Yes. And we also reviewed that there are switches where we do have fiber ports as well. So SFP, I do not have them with me, but in the first session I showed you the SFP modules, like those tiny little modules. Next time we're going to have discussion on that one. Okay, any other definition or any other point what a switch can do or what does a switch do?
Switch is just broadcast.
Yes, switch broadcast the data. It could do unicast as well, but it does broadcast. Good. A switch has multiple ports on it. It was kind of an extension. Even though I do have firewall with me, but you could see like it has multiple ports on it. So there are switches which has 8 ports, 16 ports, 24 ports, and even I have worked on switches where we do have several hundred ports on them. So it just depends on. It could be an Ethernet, it could be a fast Ethernet, it could be a Giga Ethernet. The difference between Ethernet, fast Ethernet and Giga Ethernet, does anyone knows? Yes, connectivity. So an Ethernet is 10 MB. Okay, a fast Ethernet is 100 MB. A giga Ethernet is 1000. Okay, I hope everyone is with me on this. So that was it. What is a router? Yes.
It's a level 3 device and allows multiple devices to create a network.
Yes, it basically takes up data from all those devices and then it will pass on to internet. Yes.
To the
Best path or excellent. Logic was. Oh, good, good. So all of these definitions are correct, up to your knowledge. Again, like a router can do so many other things as well. We just have chosen the things that we would cover in this 10-hour course. Okay. So router is a layer 3 device. It has an IP address. What is a firewall?
protection.
Protection.
On.
Some sort of like protection for a website maybe that you want to keep safe to yourself.
A device that protects some data by creating some boundaries. Yes, it's like
Security basically.
it's a security appliance. It's a security
Set of
device.
rules monitors traffic.
It monitors the traffic. Yes,
Set of rules.
yes. You can create set of rules, policies depending on your infrastructure. Yes, correct.
Segregation between unprotected and protected devices.
Excellent definition.
Networks.
Yeah, this was I was looking for. So this is kind of like of a device that creates a very thin line, and when it creates that boundary, it basically secures the communication between trusted networks and untrusted networks. So all of the things that you have mentioned, I believe you guys are very interested in security because I only heard 2 sentences on switch, 2 or 3 maybe on router, and on firewall everyone was willing to give me like multiple statements on it. So I believe we do have so many future hackers are sitting in this class on cyber security, but that's a good thing because now I can relate to you guys. So a firewall, we already discussed that what a firewall can do and what are the parameters that we can configure on a firewall. But the thing is that we are studying at a very beginner level. We are just studying at basic level. We can do whatever we want to do with a firewall, but the question is that how can we access that device? If you can't access a device, how could you configure it? So our today's session is going to be one of the most interesting sessions of this class, and that is how to access a device. Okay? And again, how to access a device, the methods that I am going to teach to you today are the methods that can be used to access a router, a switch, a firewall, an IP phone, an IP camera, or any device that we can configure on our network. Okay? So if you do see us configuring or accessing a router, how to access a router, all the methods are same to access a router or a switch. Okay? Sorry, today we do have some logistical challenges. The projector that we are using, it's a little bit up above the sky. So we'll try to fix this next time, but today, sorry to bear with me. I'll just read what's mentioned over here. And it's methods of accessing a device or methods to access a device. So today is the practical day. Everything, whatever we'll learn, we're gonna do this practically today. That is the reason I have brought all of the things with me in my Pandora's box. So you did already saw a firewall. I showed it to you, everyone had a look onto it. I showed you the power cable, I showed you the console cable, I showed you the Ethernet cables, and all of the things regarding the firewalls. You already have seen it. You took it in your hands and you have tried to see it. But for this video session, lecture, I'm going to show it to you again in a very brief way. So it's on a device. So this is a device which is powered on, by the way. I can play with it, but if it's in production, I would not even imagine it to take in my hands. But since this is a lab or demo kind of a setup, that is why I'm keeping it as is in front of me. So in this firewall, this is basically a Palo Alto PA220 firewall. PA is Palo Alto, 220 is the model. You do not have to remember it, but just for the sake of this video, I'm showing it to you. These are 8 ports that you can see over here, and these are fast Ethernet ports. So each port is like 100 MB. There are 2 ports over here that you can see. These 2 ports. The below one is a console port, and the above port is a management port, MGMT. You might have seen it, MGMT. And today we are going to do this lab, and someone will gonna come here, and he is going to plug in, or she is going to plug in the ports. So it's open. It's not like that. We are not going to demonstrate this. Even in fact, I would encourage everyone to here come up and configure these things with me, and can show it to rest of the students as well. So this is a management port. What is the purpose of a management port? Could you guess? To manage a device. If I need to access this for management purposes, I most likely not gonna use any other port other than management port or console port. There is a purpose of why console is separate or management is separate, because they are doing some different things, and that's why they were being used. So a management port is used to manage up the devices. There is a console port here. This is an RJ45. And there is also another console port, which is a micro USB port. And you're gonna see this when this device will again come back to you. So the console port is a port which we use to physically access a device. A console port most likely would not have any IP address on it, while a management port would have an IP address on it. So on console port, again you're gonna see this today, I would not be configuring any IP address on it. It would be a plain interface, simple plain interface. So no IP address on console. No IP address on this console port, no IP address on this micro USB console. Console is like a hardware interface. Why we use it? We use it to physically access the device. So the best method to access any device is console. And that is how we are going to start our session today. You may see that CONSOLE console right below the methods. So that's number 1 point which we are going to discuss. So how to access a device? What is the first method? Console cable, console port. You already saw, this is a console cable. There are 3 types of console cables that I have mentioned in here. The 2 most widely being used are the ones in black, like this. This is the USB end, and the other end is micro USB. And I told you, like, micro USB, if you do Google search, when you will be watching this video at home, then you will do a Google search, micro USB. It is the same port that was being used before USB-C and USBs were like being used as a standard port. So yeah, and I mentioned it to you, like some old phones like Nokia phones, Sony Ericsson phones, I do remember that they have these ports in it. PlayStation 4 controller has this port in it. So it's a micro USB port. This was an industry standard, but it was not being widely used. How USBs and USB-Cs are being used. So this is one way of connecting this, and I'm just demonstrating it for here to show it to you. So the micro USB port goes in here, and this will go into my laptop or computer, whatever I'm using. So as soon as I connect, I can access this device. How? We cover this in like next 5 to 10 minutes. Another port is a port that would be most likely that one end is USB, the other end would be RJ45. Okay? So that cable would most likely be this. So you could see it even in that black picture. That is also one way. But now what we are going to do is that now this RJ45 Ethernet cable, I cannot plug in it here in console port. It's not designed for this. So where I'm going to plug in it? Over here in console. And today we are going to do this. Not over here, but I'm going to put this in management port. And you can see like this is the same port, like same cable I could use here. The same port I could use here. Previously it was on 1, now it's on 7. I could take out this cable, I can connect into management. And I can connect into console. Okay. So the port is the same. The purpose is different for every port. These are data ports. So any data communication, data in and out would be happening on these 8 ports. But these two are for console and management. And I almost have repeated it like 10 times. Why? Because this is important. On day 1 when you will be managing up these devices or at least trying to access them, do not get confused. That's why I'm stressing so much on this. So that's method number 1. So how to access a device? We can access it via console cable. The next method is telnet. What is telnet? We are going to cover it. I'm just throwing those words in front of you. Telnet, T-E-L-N-E-T. Third method is SSH, secure shell, SSH. We will cover it in upcoming. Fourth method is HTTP/HTTPS. By the way, generally we write it as a small s. Over here, oh, it's a small s. But somewhere inside, I guess I have wrote it up. It doesn't matter if it's small or s, the purpose is same. So, 4 methods. Today you're going to learn all 4 of them. That's the interesting thing. In next 1 hour, most likely we will be able to cover in like next 1 hour to almost in 1 hour, 60 to 70 minutes. We are going to cover these methods, and these are very easy methods. Any firewall in the world you could access with them. Any router, any switch. 99.9% chances that whatever the device that comes onto you for the first time, you are going to access with any one of these methods. Any question? If everyone is agreed, then we can move on to the next slide. Okay, so the first slide and the first method, console access. We also say that we are physically accessing of the device. Hardware access. So when I do receive a device, when it's not properly being configured to use in a production environment, this is the method, this is the way that I would like to work on it. Because why? The console access is the most ultimate or most powerful access method of any device. Why? Because there is no intermittent device in between it. This is a firewall. I plugged in this cable in console port. Okay. Now I am connecting other end into my laptop. These are all the physical requirements that I have to do. The only challenge with this is that if you are working from home, if you are at home, you do want to access it via console, someone would have to provide this to you. That's the only challenge. But this is the most powerful thing. Why? There could be issues in your network where you could not access via telnet. There could be issues where you could not access via SSH, via HTTP, via HTTPS, because of some restrictions, because of some policies. For this, there is no policy that I would say that you have to jump through the hoop. Yes, we could configure a username or password onto it, but this is the most powerful way of accessing a device. You would exactly know what device is going through when it's booting, rebooting, restarting, because you do have console access. Sometimes device would not even be accessible via any other method. So what we do is that we connect via console, and then we'll try to see that, okay, what we are seeing on the console. So it would give us further information on it. There is also another way, like for instance, if I reboot or restart this device, which I'm going to show it to you, what I'm just explaining it to you. When I reboot or restart, it needs to complete its power cycle. This device needs to complete its post power on self-test. This device needs to complete its PAN OS, which is Palo Alto Network Operating System. When every component will be properly loaded, then I can telnet this device. Then I can SSH this device. Then I can access it via HTTP. But if I want to see all the backend processes, I could just simply connect it via console and I could see whatever is happening. And today I'm going to show this to you. Okay. In the end of the session. So you could, in other words, you could say that why the console is the most powerful way. For instance, the device is not properly rebooting. It's keep on like in a reboot cycle. It has been stuck. It starts, then after some time it again reboots. It again reboots. It again reboots. It would never come up to the point where we can access this via telnet, SSH, HTTPS. I do see hundreds of cases of these issues. It could be because of a corrupt OS. It could be because of a hardware failure. It could be due to some component that is in the product. And that is why we love this method. The only downside would be someone has to physically access this. Someone has to bring up their device in order to get help. Any question? So, what you would gonna see in your practical way, whenever you configure device for the first time, you generally prefer it to do like this way. Okay, so this is the first way or method how you will access a device. Any questions so far? I have just repeated all of these lines here in this slide. So console access meaning physically or directly connecting to the device. Direct hardware access, I have just told you. You do have to be physically available to access this device physically. So for instance, if you guys are remote engineers working from home and someone, and you need console access for the device, someone has to do this stuff. Or if we'll turn around the situation, if you guys working in a data center or in an office, you do have level 2, level 3 engineers or senior engineers, they might ask you to basically provide them remote access. Remote access in such a way that you connect this device, you have this console ready via Teams, Zoom, GoToMeeting, Zabbix, with any product line, you just provide them the remote session and they reply to you. Okay? Generate means no intermediate devices in between. As I have said that here's my laptop, here's my device. I just have directly connected them so that I can access this. Any question? Awesome. Now, physically I have shown it to you. This is the device. This is the console, micro USB part I have connected in it, and here's the cable connected with my laptop. So physically, I have done all the prerequisites while I was teaching it to you. What other steps we do need to take in order to connect with this device? So let's see this. So the title of the slide is How to Access a Device Remotely via Console. You will get these slides in an hour, so don't worry about it. You do not have to write down all these steps also. Just have a look on it, try to understand this, because you will get this video recording, you will get this slides with you, but you would not get me explaining this to you in person. So use this time to get engaged with me. So console access, hardware access, these 4 lines we just have covered in our last slide. It's repetitive. How to access device via console? So there were some prerequisites. First prerequisite was that console cable. I do need a console cable in order to access. This is not like a thing that I could bypass. I do need a console cable. Well, what kind of a console cable? I just show you a couple of console cables. There was RS-232 converter console cable. There was micro USB cable. There was RJ45. So use any of it. It doesn't matter to me. Next thing, we do need a tool, a software, a product to access a device. It could be PuTTY or PuTTY. It could be secure CRT. It could be Teraterm, etc. There are hundreds of tools are available. Most widely that are being used are PuTTY. Today we are going to use that one, PuTTY. It's a free software, that is why I'm using it. Secure CRT is the widely recognized or most used tool that we uses. I would suggest you to get comfortable with both these products, PuTTY and Secure CRT. It's not difficult to learn, you'll learn this today. But at least PuTTY you will gonna learn this today. Okay, today I'm going to choose PuTTY. That's a free tool, so no licensing issues. For Secure CRT, you may have to use licenses to use it. Alright, first step, very difficult step. One of the most difficult steps. What? Connect console cable to device, computer, PC, laptop. So that most difficult piece I have already done while I was talking with you. And I did it best up, so I'm very proud of myself. Okay? So, console cable, prerequisite was this cable. I connected this with my laptop. Okay, here it is. Next, go to device manager. Now this would be something that is purely Windows based. If you are not using Windows, then there's another way or method of doing. But for the simplicity of this class, I'm just telling you how to access this on Windows. So you would go to device manager. You may most of you guys may have not seen that option. Do not worry, I'm going to demonstrate these informations to you. It's very simple. It's very easy to access. So go to device manager by typing device manager under the search bar and check the ports like COM port, communication port. And I'm going to brief it to you how to do that. Okay. Third line might not be my case because I changed my laptop. So there could be different COM port. It could be COM1, COM2, COM3, COM4. Let's try to see which COM port I am using. So how to access this? It's very easy. So over here, I'll type device manager. Sorry, I'm using someone else's computer, so I may not know what may pop up or what information may come up. Okay. So here's the device manager. Okay. What I did, I went into the search bar and I typed device manager. and this screen came on to me. Okay? Now if you do see here in ports, COM and LPT, what number do you see? COM? 4. So in my case it was, no, on this on this machine it's COM 4. When I was testing or creating these slides on my other laptop, which was my laptop, it was COM 3. So one thing we just learned, not every machine is gonna be COM 3. So you for your own safety and for your own sanity, go to device manager, try to see which COM port it came. It could be 1, 2, 3, 400, 500, it could be any number. I don't know. See, interesting thing. You see there is a COM port, COM 4. I disconnected that. Do you see a COM port? No. Why? Because it is not connected. A very interesting troubleshooting technique to you. For instance, if you do connect any device and that is not being shown over here, it is most likely that either the Windows have not accepted that connection, or the device is faulty, or maybe the cable is faulty. So it's a very basic or easy troubleshooting as well. Sometimes you do connect USBs, they are not being detected. Go over here and try to see if you do find any USB stick. Again, a general troubleshooting technique, not specific to this course, for any other connectivity. In future, you could try to do it. Now, let's try to see and if I'll get same COM port or not. I'll plug it back. It refreshed. Look what I found. COM port. Okay. Why I couldn't use my other laptop? Because my USB ports were blocked by my company. That is why I had to choose it.
This method we can use for the troubleshooting?
No. I'm just telling you if you connect a console port, either it's being detected by the system or not.
Okay, once they detected, this is for the problem for troubleshooting or no?
I just wanted to make sure that I have a console cable healthy, up and running. So this is the troubleshoot, you could say this is the troubleshooting for just the COM port. For USB console cable, that yes, the console cable has been detected by the system or not.
Okay.
Because if the system is not detecting this, if this port doesn't come up, then I cannot access, I cannot go further. I wanted to make sure that, okay, I can at least test my console cable is fine, or at least it is connected with the device, my laptop. Okay. For instance, if I had connected this cable and I would have not seen any COM port here, I could not know on which COM port I do have to get connected. And that's my next step. Why this is important? I do need to see which COM port it has been connected. Got it? Any question? No? Okay, let's move back to the slides. Is it better if I use slides in this way?
Okay.
Because by this you could get at least all of the slide information. Is it readable?
Fine.
Okay. Okay, let's try to use it. Okay. So the first step was console connectivity, which I already did. Okay. Next thing was go to device manager, type device manager in search and check COM port. We already checked this. In my case, it is not COM 3, it is COM 4. Okay, so let me edit this on the fly. So yours could be different, which you already see. Okay. Once you know the COM port, use this number to connect to device via COM port number. So you already know COM 4. In our case, we already know COM 4. Fourth step, use any tool to access device such as PuTTY, Secure CRT. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use PuTTY. I'll type over here PUTTY is this tool, and you can download this on internet for free. There are like hundreds of sites. It's freely available and even on PuTTY device. I guess it's putty.org. You just Google it, you'll find it. So here is the device. Here is the PuTTY. Okay. Now, which method I am selecting? Am I using Telnet? No. We are going